Welcome to our next segment. I hope you've been enjoying the discussion with the panel experts on communicating strategically through challenging times so far. I know I have. In this segment, we are going to glean insights from our leadership panel on how to balance competing and at times conflicting priorities. Let's move on to the next question if you guys are okay with that. And this one is, whether we agree on the term disruption or transformation, as we were talking about earlier, there's really no denying that this unprecedented change happening across all industries and all functions of the organization has been, one of those things. So from the way we communicate externally with customers to the way we handle internal communications about payments, finance workflows, even working from home or getting vaccinated, can you share some insights on how you as a leader have communicated strategically to help your organization adapt during these changing times and how you've balanced competing and it's sometimes conflicting priorities, because I think that's probably an important thing for us to talk about. Imran, why don't you start us off on this one?
Absolutely. I think first the topic that you brought up is the change part, right? It was the key in there, and this change was not only change in how we perform, rather it changed the priorities as well. To give you an example about SC Johnson, we were in middle of defining our next 5 year strategy right before COVID hit. And the moment COVID started and we started seeing the impacts of that, and we started seeing the lifestyle change of people, where people are stuck at home and people want to, and the demand for the products, like the way that SC Johnson delivers, be it hygiene products or be it hand cleaning products or be it our own sanitization products, all the demand around those products significantly changed. And what we were dealing with was solve supply chain problems versus thinking about next 5 year strategy, which we had to, as a leadership, think about what is most important right now for us to solve. And we delayed our strategy. We put a pause on that and very transparently communicated to the organization that we are going to work on what is most critical for us, and not necessarily from looking at from the angle of how many more SKUs we can push out of the market. Rather, our mission was how many lives we can save, how much more hand sanitizer we can push to the hospitals and to the first responders, so they can be safe and they can of individuals. So having a bigger mission, broader than just making the profits, really helped us to keep our organization motivated and committed. We were so transparent about these and able to communicate effectively that a lot of our manufacturing floor plant engineers who had retired in the last 5 years, they volunteered to come back and work in our plants 24/7 so we can push out more products to save the lives. So I think if the purpose of the organization is bigger than just making the profits and pushing the SKUs out, that helps keep organizations motivated and people being more resilient and working to make you successful.
Wow, such an important point, Imran. And obviously, the values of your company, the family values that come down from the family into the business, the way we think about it, gave you a little bit of a head start. But this whole idea of purpose has come to the forefront in the last year and a half. Like, what is a business really for, if not to do things that are larger than just making money for yourselves? And I think we've all had to pay more attention to that for sure. So thanks for bringing that up.
I think the couple of questions that we asked ourselves were, why do we exist? And what is most important to us? Those questions helped us think about our priorities, though at a surface they looked conflicting priorities, but when we answered those questions at a deeper level, they were not conflicting at all.
It's a great set of questions too. That question about why you exist is difficult even when there's nothing going on, right? I have a cross pen in front of me. Is it a pen company or a gift company? Because nobody ever seems to have bought a cross pen. They got them as a gift. But today, when we add on the layer of purpose on top of that, like, why do we exist? Do we exist just to make consumer packaged goods that everybody knows and loves, in your case? Or do we exist to do something grander than that? And I think when we look at the way employees look at life, when they come into work, if there isn't that greater purpose, are we going to be able to continue to attract them in the future? And I think COVID really has brought that to the forefront as we've seen how intense life can be and what is really important in life. So thank you for bringing that up. Assad, let me go to you next for this one.
From an Asana standpoint, right? I mean, our values include being real and being mindful, right? And I wanted to build something which Bernard was mentioning, right? I mean, in the context of in this context, the real being real thing is about the situation we are in, right, and the challenges that come with it. The mindfulness is that the different experiences that individuals are being faced with. So some are, as folks said, some are parents, some are caregivers, some have work setups at home that are not ideal at all. So the way I have actually thought about communication and doing it strategically for the organization to adapt in the situation is like, one, acknowledging the fact that the situation is very new to us, right? I think providing clear guidance on how and what we will do to adjust and adapt, right? Revisiting priorities, and that's something like I think Imran has a really great point, like revisiting priorities and focusing on the highest impactful work, right? The other thing is like providing the flexibility to individuals to choose how they work, how they balance between work and their life. So we actually incorporated a lot of flexibility into people's schedules. While they are caregivers, while they are parents, how can they still go about doing their jobs, right? And finally, as leaders, I think we were present. I mean, I think Roman said this. We were present, available, and showing the empathy for our teammates. So that has gone a long way, and I think that has continued with a really highly engaging organization and a company that has basically come about doing a lot of things, right? I mean, on our business, basically, our mission as a company is to help humanity thrive and enable the world's team by helping them work effortlessly, right? So helping grow Asana as a product and features and getting those features in the hands of folks. I think we have believed that the collaboration and the work that people have gotten about doing with the solution that we have out there, I think that has been amazing. And then the question about balance between competing at times and conflicting priorities. So I'll give you an example of like my organization. So my team, Business Technology, our mission is to power Asana's business transformation. And we do that by using customer-centric technology and data solutions, right? So what do we want to do? We want to maximize value we bring to our organization, which sometimes requires us as individuals to be heavy on the workload side. And as a leader, my goal is to spot these burnout points, right, before it's actually too late, by balancing workloads and staying connected to my reports. So this is a constant struggle, and like it continues to be my focus. But what has worked best for me is to create strong alignment on objectives and discuss top priorities that is non-negotiable. So this is helping us focus on quality outcomes and without burning out our teams, which is actually amazing, right?
Excellent. Raman, in your role as president and CEO, you must have some thoughts about this. Just maybe fill in some of the blanks for those of us who aren't at the head of the organization in the way that you are.
So, as soon as India was getting ready for lockdown, we realized that communication was going to be more important than anything else. And I think the example that I mentioned, where we typically leave the communication of the employees to HR, but in that situation we realized that it had to be done from the top down, and we could see the effect of that. The first thing we did was we actually hired a communication specialist on our payroll. All that person does for us is communicate, whether it is employee communication, whether it is stakeholder communication, whether it is communicating how COVID is doing in India, how the business is performing. That person is communicating information at multiple levels. We as an organization were never designed to work from home. We actually didn't even buy laptops when the company was set up. We actually bought desktops. And when COVID hit us and we had to send people home, we struggled to even get laptops. So, what we did was we actually gave employees an option where they could actually go buy a laptop, and we would subsidize the cost of that laptop so that they could then use that laptop to connect and work. We actually came up with several strategies on the fly that overcome a lot of the challenges we had in our operating environment, because being a healthcare organization, we are not designed to work from home because of PHI, HIPAA, all of those constraints. We were largely designed to be in an office environment, and we had to break all of those boundaries. We quickly realized, going back to Bernard's point, in Asia, social distancing is a luxury in many, many houses where three generations live together. And people said, I cannot, come on a Zoom call and have my video on because I'm so embarrassed. My house is not designed to work from home, right? I mean, there are three generations living in the house. All of those challenges were there. We gave people complete freedom and said, if you don't feel that you should be part of this meeting, you have the right to not show up. If you feel you want flexibility, you are in an evening shift, but you want to come and work in a morning shift because their brother or sister works in an evening shift, you can do that as well. Every Monday at 2 p.m. India time, my calendar is available for any employee in the organization and any contractor in the organization to block that half an hour and have a one on one with me and talk to me about their challenges, their problems, whatever they are having. And that open transparency, all of these forums that we created for our employees went a long way. They didn't have to go through layers of hierarchies, approvals. They could come straight to me and tell me what their challenges were, and we would work it out and we would resolve those issues. So giving employees direct access to the highest chain of command, helping them that, hey, we are here for you. Our HR business partners, they call employees every 2 weeks and we do a check-in just to make sure, are you doing well? Do you need any help? What can we do to help you? Working with our employee mental health assistance line, checking how many calls they are getting. Are they getting more number of calls? Because what we saw is that during lockdown, and India has been in this situation for more than 18 months, a lot of the one-to-one help, mental help, call numbers started to skyrocket, and we knew that we had to pay attention. We actually introduced a lot of mental wellness programs that people could participate and get distracted from work so that they had something else to look forward to. So we completely revamped a lot of the things that we would have never done had we been working in the office. And all of these new strategies and communication and repeated communication, be it social media, be it email, all of that actually went a long way for us. And employees felt like, hey, this organization is very transparent. We could trust the leaders. They understand our challenges. If I have a problem, I could talk straight to Raman and get my issues resolved. And all of that went a long way for us.
Wow, that was amazing. Bernard, similar for you as a regional president, maybe you could give us that perspective as well.
Yeah, I think if I could just say one last thing in terms of the effectiveness in terms of communication, especially during this time of high stress with COVID, is actually listen, making time. And I think Raman made that point that he blocked time out of his calendar to make time to go and listen to folks. And I think have an effective channel that even during time of social distancing, that employees can message you. They may not be so comfortable to call you, especially in the Asian culture. They may just want to drop you a message, or even anonymous to be able to communicate with you. And because people want to feel heard in this time of social distancing, in this time of isolation, and if we can find a way to communicate effectively, to say, I hear you, that's a very key foundation of trust in the company.
For sure. Um, Ron, Jill, do you guys want to add anything to the mix here?
I'll just echo a lot of what Raman said about what HCL did during the throes of the crisis, especially part 2 with the Delta variant. Same idea. HCL has a very employee-first mindset and culture, and we started a program called the Co-Vengers, and so we had people from all over the organization who were just taking care of our people and checking in on our people. And we started a whole program called Take Care HCL. And it was, Raman, it was built on all of the same principles that you just mentioned. And it didn't seem odd. It was just an extension of this employee first mindset and culture that were already in place. So I really love the conversation about purpose. And I feel very strongly about every organization needing a purpose that's easy, that everyone can articulate across the organization. So not much else to add other than I think everybody raised some excellent points.
Yeah, I'll just quickly underscore it. Just shows the creativity and empathy, as we mentioned, of organizations. And look, the global pandemic's been tough. It's been difficult, but there's been some real positives we can build on going forward, including this, kind of, I believe, further attention to mental health that probably would not have been there without this pandemic. So just really, really great stuff to hear about in a difficult situation that we all had to adapt to.
And as we come to a close in our session today, I think it is important to understand, if you just think about the Chinese characters for crisis, it's both crisis and opportunity, right? And that's what COVID has been. It's been challenging, but it's also offered us opportunities to do things that maybe we wouldn't have been able to do, and that we'll be able to continue to do in the future. I think back to a lot of your responses were more hopeful than kind of sad and trying to, put a Band-Aid on. They were things that made your organizations stronger. And I think that's probably a good way for people to think about this, that communicating strategically, which means trying to think about communication from the perspective of your audience, has allowed us all to be more empathetic and to be more caring about our workforce, which in my mind is the key to successful transformation for any organization. With that, I think we've gone beyond our time, but I want to thank all of our panelists today for being here. I also want to thank our friends at HCL and all of the other people, the folks on the technology side who have made this a successful session. So thank you again for teeing it up with Tuck and for a great set of comments from all of you. It's been a pleasure to work with you today. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
You.